Well, they've benefited us in the training of our officers as we have things like the Book of Church Order and training to do with them and those type things. It's helped the presbytery function and well, and I think it just has kept everything in order, and that's important when you're trying to train your officers, plant new churches, advance the presbytery, and all that type thing. You need somebody who's doing the administrative end of it and keeping it straight, and that's been very helpful to us.
I mean, anytime we had a question that nobody had an answer to, I said, call the administration committee. And I imagine that you get calls every day about something that nobody else knows where to turn. And so that's one thing. If you want an answer about the PCA, so often the only resource you have as a church is the administration committee. And there's a second reason. And the second reason is, we are fortunate that in God's good sovereignty, the men that have been the administrators, the stated clerks, have all been good men. They've been men who loved the PCA more than even, I think, their own careers or their own ministry. When you think back of the men that we've had, I think they've been handed down to us. And also the final thing, I guess, for me, it was just good to go to the General Assembly and not be in utter chaos. Mm-hmm. The first couple of General Assemblies, had one in your church and then one in my church, 1 and 2. It's a wonder the whole thing didn't collapse right there. But the General Assemblies wouldn't operate as efficiently and as effectively if there was not your committee. And boy, I found that out. And the second General Assembly was held in First Presbyterian Church of Macon, Georgia, because the previous denominational connection, the second General Assembly of that denomination, was held in the same sanctuary. Mm-hmm. And that's why we had the second General Assembly at First Church Macon, Georgia. Well, when we were asked, our immediate reaction was, we're going to house a General Assembly? How in the world are we going to do that? And, you fellas came in and just showed us how. And I tell you one thing. Remember Aiken Taylor? Old Aiken Taylor? Aiken Taylor said for the first time when he saw Briarwood at the General Assembly, he said, well, they're big enough and strong enough. They can handle the General Assembly. When they came to First Church Macon, Georgia, he began to wonder, these people will just, be running around like rabbits. We won't have anything, And it was great. It was smooth. And he came away and said, I believe we're going to make it. And so I appreciate everything that we receive.
I've had the fortune or misfortune of chairing the Arrangements Committee for 2 General Assemblies. And I know how important the Committee on Administration is, because our work ran smoothly because of the work that the Administration Committee had done beforehand and during it. And the reason that a lot of people don't understand how important the Administration Committee is to those General Assemblies is because you all have run them so smoothly that people do not realize that there's any problem about it. But let me tell you, if you've been the chairman of an arrangements committee, you know there are a lot of questions and a lot of problems, and you really do learn to appreciate what the administration committee means to the General Assembly.
Well, the Lord says, where your treasure is, where you give your money, your heart will follow. Most of us think just the opposite. I got to have a heart for it before I'm going to give you anything. You give. You give to the administration committee, and you will begin to take an interest much more. And we'll see those percentages of giving rise and rise.
But I want to say, in addition to what you've said, that I think the plan of raising funds from the denomination is a remarkable plan, because it doesn't tax the church on the basis of the number of members, but on the ability to give. And it means that the churches of lower ability, and over 545 of our churches, something like that, are under 100 members. And you can't ask those churches to give like you can ask the larger churches, but they can give what's being asked of them. If their giving is up to $50,000, they're only being asked to give $100. And I think the way that's been planned and been arranged is a way that everybody should agree with and accede to.
Also, it seems to me that we are stewards of this denomination. God has given it into our hands in a sense, and it's, man, I look at other denominations and how people have not really stepped up to the plate to keep things in order and make them run right, and they begin to go downhill badly. And we are stewards. We've got to make this thing run right, and this is a key part of that.
But you know, we backed off of so much when we started this new denomination. And some of the things we backed off from, I think we overreacted. But it happened. You know, we had our 4 committees in 4 different cities spread out over the United States. We finally got together here in Atlanta, but that took 10 years or so.
An illustration that I sometimes use is the illustration of keeping your grass cut. In our area, usually most of the grass is cut on Saturday. People that have little yards only have to cut a little bit. People who have great big yards have to have people come in and cut those big yards, you know, with big equipment and so forth. But everybody gets their grass cut, no matter how much grass they have to cut. And if everybody in the PCA would just handle their proportionate share, whether it be small or great, and if every church would do that. And one more item, if every presbytery would contribute the $500 the presbyteries are asked to give, we would have enough money for the smaller presbyteries to host the General Assembly, which they haven't been able to do because it involves raising a lot of money. But it's a great plan, and I want to commend those who have designed this plan, and I want to commend the General Assembly for passing it there, and I want to urge my brothers all across the Assembly and their presbyteries to pass this plan, because I think it's a great plan and it's a necessary plan.
Another part of the plan is that it won't cost nearly as much for representatives to go to General Assembly, and it'll make it a lot better to get good attendance and good response at the General Assembly, which is crucial.
And more laymen.
Yes.
The laymen.